We don't need another version of a thing we've seen a million
Yeah.
times because
That's why I really stay away from superheroes because I do love the genre. Don't get me wrong. I can't write it. I start finding myself copying what's happened before. And I'm like, no, I'll stick to my horror. At least,
that's fair.
yeah. I just can't seem to make anything new and interesting. That's probably the main thing.
Yeah, I think it's to your
Yeah.
benefit because if you're talking about Kickstarter and all those platforms, like I find the hero stuff doesn't do very well anyway. So people are coming to Kickstarter for something a little different
Yeah.
than what they can get at the LCS. So yeah, so you're better off, I would say.
Fingers crossed.
And you're competing with Batman.
Yeah.
That's a hard
So,
Batman and it's $4.
yeah. It's hard to cope with that. It's when mine's
Right?
10, 15, depending, and it's
We're doing artisanal
yeah,
comics. Yeah, so it's definitely hard to play in the same sandbox as that and then expect anywhere close to the same results.
yeah.
Like it's just you can't. And mind you, if somebody wants to throw me a Batman writing job, I'll take it in a heartbeat. But
Would that be so? Would that be your dream then? Or if you could do any IP series your own, what would it be?
like I could just pick.
Any?
Yeah, it's tough. I don't know.
Aliens for me. Yeah,
Yeah, you have that.
straight away. I've written the
Yeah,
pilot for a TV series. I'm that into it. When
nice.
Romulus came out, I was itching to go and see that. I'm so looking
Uh,
forward to the new series next year. It's about time they
yeah,
actually
I
did
hope.
some decent aliens. Because when Prey came out, it was amazing.
Mhm.
It's like,
Yeah, that was like a nice reset
yeah,
after Prometheus and all that stuff. That was like, I appreciate you going different, but that was too far different,
I
right?
did not like Prometheus or Covenant when they said that some android with daddy issues created the xenomorphs. Off. No,
Yeah,
no,
they really yeah, they tried. Again, I appreciate the courage to try to do something different and uncalled for, but I didn't care for the result.
no. I can understand Xenos being engineered. I like that idea, but as like a
Yeah,
bioweapon, and the idea would be like, why were they created? What war were they fighting them? What enemy were they fighting them to create monsters? And did they win? It could be a universal or galactic war that we don't know of because we're a tiny little pocket over here. And these
mhm.
engineers, if you want to call them that, created the Xenos to fight an enemy. But did they win? It's such a massive story they could have gone that, but instead they wanted to make an engineer Jesus or something. I'm like, come on, seriously?
Yeah, it was a choice.
Yeah, it was a choice.
Choice. I don't know if it was the right choice, but yeah, I appreciate the what's the word? The like, I don't know. I like when you ask that question, I do have something in mind. Like for me, it's Superman. That's the one I would like absolutely. I'll drop everything. I'll do that. But I'm so afraid of it. I'm so
Kind
afraid
of.
that I would screw it up that I can't even. I didn't even say it out loud because I'm like, oh my god,
So
I don't want to
would
like. But the superstitious me is don't say it out loud. You'll ruin
you,
it.
so would you go Dark Superman, the Justice League Snyder universe, or would you go?
No,
Oh,
that's so boring.
would
It's boring because everyone's that's the first thing. What if? And I think was it Mark Wade that did Incorruptible? That was one of the best. Omni Man. There's so many versions of evil Superman out
yeah,
there that are done better than evil Superman would be. It's just no, you just do Superman for Superman's sake, right? Like you do him the way he's supposed to be
yeah,
done.
Boy
Yeah, I'm
Scout.
very excited. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
right. He's got to be the Boy Scout. Got to be inspirational. He's the Jesus figure of the DC universe, kind of thing, right?
I can't knock the Snyder stuff. I enjoyed the Batman, the Ben Affleck as Batman. I just didn't think they had the what was it? They screwed themselves bringing in Josh Whedon and that mustache
That
fiasco.
was
They should have just waited, bring back
yeah,
Snyder, finish it off, and then finish the Justice League, and then reboot it and go from there. And they just shot themselves in the foot.
yeah. They were in almost in too much of a hurry.
They wanted Marvel Avengers straight
Yeah,
away. It took them 10 years to get there.
right? Like it's instead like they did not take the lessons of
No,
that well at all. They just ran into it full steam and then said, "Why isn't this
yeah,
working?" So yeah, I don't know. It's but
Yeah, visually it works, but it's the script
yeah,
that doesn't work for me. Actually, I just take that movie and the Superman one and just re-edited everything to make more sense to me, at least. I think I should have reshoot some things, but it makes a little sense, more sense nothing. It's a fine experiment I did. I don't know if I have the link
Okay.
to show it again, but it was
So
fun.
you actually recut it yourself? Nice.
Yes, I did. I did. I did. And plan of Luthor was all along to make a clone of Superman and that it becomes the
That's a good
abomination.
spin.
And what else? And he has a secretary that dies on the
I
Congress.
think so. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
With the
Yeah. So
or whatever.
in the re-edit, she appears after the bomb. So somehow I managed to make her a clone.
Oh, nice.
too.
She's like an experiment. Nice.
Yes, so that the teams is concise. No, it was the work with all the plan
Okay.
of
Nice.
Luthor. So it was a fun experiment. It doesn't sound so good right now, but it was a fun
Hey,
experiment.
it sounds better than what we
Yeah.
got.
Yeah, and the Batman grudge with Superman starts when Zod arrives.
Nice.
He's a witness of the arrival of Zod with all the screens with the message. So that's when he starts to fear the aliens and start building things.
99% of what's wrong with films nowadays is just writing.
It's too many hands, right?
Yeah.
They don't have the
Yeah.
courage to stick with their convictions. I think Star Wars did the same thing.
Oh, don't
right?
get me started on Star Wars. We don't have enough time.
But yeah, it's the same idea. It's just if you're gonna go that way and you're gonna say none of this matters, then none of it matters. But then you made a rebuttal within the same trilogy.
Mandalorian 1 and 2 were great. Season 3
Mhm.
was just like, what?
I will say, at least. So the problem I had with the whole Snyder version of it, with the caveat, I did really enjoy Man of Steel. I loved it. I don't. Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it a lot, even with the Zod ending there. Like I didn't have a problem with that as much as some people. But
I'm some
yeah,
people.
I thought it was okay. You find out why he doesn't kill.
yeah, there was a
Yeah.
logic to it. Again, they didn't need to do that, but the way that it all played out, they backed it into a corner that made the most sense. So I don't hate it as much as I should, but the BVS and Justice League and all that kind of ruined it for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's
I think what ruined it, specifically for the Batman versus the first sequel, where Wonder Woman comes in the trailer, they showed Doomsday. Why
Yes.
would you show
Yeah.
that?
And
You
like,
just ruined the whole freaking movie.
Oh, I'm just going to keep talking good about my end because there is a line Alfred said to Batman that it's really good about the good turning bad because they are not abiding to their principles and so on. And I use that to make the doubt on the moment he's going to kill Superman
Yeah.
with the spear. And I repeat that line in his head on the audio at that moment,
rather
and that's when he
Martha
drops. Yeah, then there is no Martha. I think that it makes more sense. I erase everything where Batman kills. So that was going to be the first time he kills when he's
Okay.
going to kill Superman.
ah, see, yeah, it's
And-
earned at that point, right? It makes sense with the Man of Steel ending.
Mm.
It's the inverse of that, right?
The fight
Right,
scene where he
right.
goes and saves Superman's mum in the warehouse, the fight scene of that is freaking amazing. Ben Affleck is such a great Batman. He's got the
Yeah,
he's got
and
the chops. He's freaking massive.
And if Snyder does anything right, it's a good fight. Like he does the visuals well. Like he knows how to stage a fight scene.
Yeah.
He knows how to even just the iconic imagery. Like he knows what he's
In
doing.
like 10, 20 years time, if he comes back with Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill to do Dark Knight Returns, just
Yeah.
do that as a one-off with those two
do it
characters. And,
properly.
do it properly with those.
Yeah, don't throw half of it
Yeah,
out.
that would be
like Death of Superman was wasted.
Yeah, that would be
right?
amazing. Those characters,
Yeah.
those actors back as and even bring out all the old school back and do the because that is my favorite Batman
Yeah.
animated anyway.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, love it.
So what I was saying about Star Wars and all that. So I understand Mandalorian fell off and some of the series haven't been great and all that. But the one thing I really do appreciate about what they're doing with Star Wars is they're just doing everything. They're just doing it. Where DC, what killed me about the whole Snyder era was, yes, like maybe some people liked that version of Superman, that version of whatever, but that was the version we were stuck with. There was no alternative. Where with Star Wars, they're expanding the universe so quickly and so much. Even if they fail 2 out of 3 times, the third time is going to be decent. Where the cadence with the DC universe was infrequent, so small that like those wins came so much more infrequently, right? I don't know.
It's
I feel like that's better. Like just put more out and maybe you'll get more wins. But maybe I'm just wishful thinking. Maybe they just would have put out a lot of garbage. I don't know.
unfortunately because it costs so much to make. The Acolyte cost reportedly like at least minimum $180 million to make,
Yeah, that's insane.
which is insane, and it was absolute crap. I couldn't get past the 3rd episode. There were some scenes where you just like what? The writing's terrible.
Yeah, I heard nothing but bad things, so I'm not in a hurry to
Yeah,
watch it, right?
I couldn't get past the 3rd episode. I watched reviews online to see what the hell happened, and then they
Mhm.
dropped in a few cameos and stuff, which was like ruined those characters now. But back to Mandalorian, number 1 and 2 were like my favorites. Like was it the Desert Dragon? But I think it's the first episode of season 2 where they have to capture the
Mhm.
dragon, and that was amazing. Loved that. And obviously the end of season 2 with Luke coming in.
Yeah,
Spoilers.
that was
Spoilers.
it's been long
Yeah.
enough.
But that's great.
Yeah.
But season 3, I don't like cameos of random actors or
Mhm.
singers because they want to be in Star Wars. It just blows the storyline. You walk in and then Jack Black's there. And
Yeah, it ruins the
It-
mystique of them. They're almost too recognizable.
the sequel trilogy was just, yeah.
And so for me, it was I don't know. I still got that feel. It was almost like every time I went to go see it in the theater, I had a little bit of hope. You get the scroll and the music hits, and you're like, okay, this is going to be better. And then
It wasn't.
right, the first one was fine, and then they were going. I always respect when people just are willing to try something different, but again, they do it with some respect. Where the 8th one, I can't even remember what it's called at this point. Right,
Rise
just
of Skywalker, even though she's not a Skywalker.
yeah, that's exactly it. Like, why are you throwing everything out? And I understand what his thesis was, which is none of this matters as much as you're saying it does. So stop like being so precious with it. But why are you here?
Why are these characters central then to the storyline? Why
Yeah.
was Anakin the chosen one, and then Luke came? That's what annoyed me the most, was that Vader is probably the worst bad guy in the history of
Mhm.
bad guys. He's slaughtered probably billions of people at this point. And yet
Mhm.
Luke sees a little spark in him and he's really good. And yet he sees a tiny bad spark in his nephew.
This has to be correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god, because I personally think they should have cast them and just not followed the books, novels page for page, but adapted some of the novels and continued
Sure.
straight away from where episode 6 left, and then
Mhm.
just carried on. That's what they should have done with when, unfortunately, Black Panther actor,
Right.
when he died. It's tragic, but he's an actor. I don't think he would have wanted the character to be written off completely, and the sequel was just not as good as the first one. It was never going to be because it was such a great film. But they
Mm.
just wedged themselves into a corner where they couldn't use this character. So
Yeah.
I think that's what they've done with the Star Wars. They crucified Luke and made him into a wet lettuce. Is it a Jedi thing? They lose one apprentice and go off and sit in a corner on a planet and hope someone finds them in 30 years.
I feel like you could do that.
Yeah.
It has to be earned almost, right? It was almost done so that it can be undone. That was the only reason
Yeah.
that he was like so against type, so that he can become back of what he was without. Yeah, like it just didn't add
Yeah.
up, right?
And then you can
But
suddenly have lightsabers appear in people's hands. And then they actually made him semi-decent. And then they kill him off.
it's like they really needed to force a redemption arc on him,
Yeah.
even though
That would have been
right?
great.
It's like
It reminded
yeah.
me of Sasuke in Naruto. I don't know if you're an anime fan. I am.
I
Yeah.
know.
And it's like
But
a redemption arc. It'd be if they had him kind of meeting with Finn later. That would have been such a great scene.
right?
But yeah, but no,
They
kill
just
him.
that's the Marvel seeping into the Star Wars side of things because they love to kill everyone off.
Yeah,
And yeah, to your point, it's like the way they've set it up is that they can't. Again, Star Wars is one thing.
yeah.
I think that in the sense of you can't replace Luke. You can't just get oh, there's a new guy playing Luke. That's
I
not
don't know.
happening.
I think Sebastian Stan looks so like him. He could
Yeah,
easily play a young Luke. They've already got
like
Danny.
Donald
Yeah, they've
Glover.
got
Where
got Calrissian. They've pretty much got a Luke with. So all they need to do is find Leia, and then
yeah,
they've
I
got the
guess you're right.
three the main characters. It's not. I think they're so worried that the fan is going to be, oh, it's not the same of the old actors. They're not going to be, but it continues the storyline.
Yeah, like nobody's crying about James Bond, right?
No.
If anything, it's become a game of like, who's James Bond next? I want to see,
Well,
right?
that's the thing. James Bond is a code name. That's how
Yeah.
they use it originally, anyway. But obviously, with Daniel Craig's, it was actually his name because he was like, because actually in Skyfall when they actually went up through Scotland, we
Mhm.
actually watched it. We actually knew those roads because we used to live.
Oh,
We used
nice.
to go down those roads through the Cairngorms and things like that. So it was like, we know those. But yeah, that
That's
was
awesome.
originally the idea that it was a code name, like 007.
Yeah. So it really could
Yeah,
be anybody.
it could be.
Yeah. Where I don't know, but even then, like Superman's been recast a bunch, right?
Batman. Look at that.
There was a hesitance for the longest time where it's you can't replace Christopher Reeve. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
And that I guess it's going to be the same with Chadwick Boseman now, probably, where they should just like, yeah, okay, it's not the same. We understand, but these are the circumstances we're
Yeah,
in,
either
right?
you do very short storylines, like you do like comic runs, you do a limited comic run, you do a specific
Mhm.
storyline, and that's it. Go for the next one, or you
Yeah,
recast because freaking Chris Hemsworth, bless him, and all the others who like pump them up and they're freaking massive. They can't
yeah,
sustain that for 40 years.
yeah. Chris Hemsworth might be able to,
Probably, yeah.
but but everyone else,
Yeah, normal people can't sustain that for
yeah.
like 40 years.
I think he's got some kind of special genetics, but everyone else,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a lot to ask.
It is.
I don't know how Hugh Jackman stays so fit.
Yeah, he's a
He's
machine.
insane. Yeah, but that's going to be an interesting one. When they finally recast Wolverine and we
Yeah,
see,
you have to recast these characters. It's
right,
inevitable. You can't have someone pay that only for his career. He wants to do other
right,
things, or she.
and it doesn't erase what came before.
No.
That's the thing that always kills
Yeah.
me, right? Like it still exists. You can do a new thing, right? It doesn't. Oh, you ruined my childhood, right? Like, no, it's still there. It still happened.
Yeah, I think Harry Potter and all the like films, because they've done like 12, it feels like
Mhm.
12 films with the same actors
Yeah,
all the way
they-
through. It's probably, I think it's 9.
yeah,
Is it 9? 9?
something like
8.
that. Because I forgot they broke up the last couple books.
Yeah, I know the last one was.
Yeah,
So yeah, whatever. They've done like 20,000 films, and
and a musical.
the musical,
And,
but they had the same actors all the way through. But that's
yeah,
very hard to do because the kids are aged.
yep.
I don't know how they're going to do the HBO series because that's even
Yeah, I
longer.
think from what I heard is they're just gonna start over.
Okay.
Like they're just gonna like the movies never happened.
Yeah,
Or
but
get
are they going to
the story
keep
again.
the same actors all the way through? Because if they're going to do what a series, a book, that's
Yeah,
what
that's
6
years.
seasons. That's at least 12 years because it's going to be
Mm.
a season every 2 years if you're lucky. It's a
Yeah,
long time.
yeah, that's a lot to ask.
Oh my god, he's such a good artist. Jesus.
Yes, welcome to the
Yeah.
show. This is you beat me to it. I usually end up doing that at some
Yeah.
point. But
Hey, but wait, because I've been doing this all by myself since the prompt. Let me know what you think about. I didn't want to interrupt you, but I don't know. How do you feel
Yeah,
about
it looks
the
good.
sequence?
Yeah, he's on the subway, looks at his phone, sees his wife. Yep, I love it.
I see we're going for the
The
ending.
happy ending.
Oh, what? Let me. What would you like me to do different?
I'd say take out the lady, the wife in the last image, and he's just going on the train himself.
Okay.
You want to go?
The dog will go home.
How? Just the hand reaching out
Yeah, it's
here.
like a
It's
ghost, like a faint image. Maybe he's like reaches for him, but he moves before it touches him. So dark.
Like we almost had her back.
Yeah, if I want to make it move, like I need another panel. So, what do you think if I just two fingers
No,
over
I think
hand
that's
and
perfect. I think that's perfect. Where
transparent?
she's just about to
It's just-
touch him, it touches his hand, but then in the final panel,
And
he's
then he
walking
goes,
alone into the train.
You want him walking alone, but she's still
Oh,
he's
she
there.
stood. She's
and
actually
he-
yeah. Do that, you heartless bastard.
"Oh, okay."
It's not that she was never there. It's she was there
there,
and he just
just-
missed her. He was too wrapped up in his own stuff.
Yeah,
Catching the train. over
thinking of
normal person.
comics. That's what he was doing.
Yeah. You're like, oh my god, it's big pull list this week.
Yeah, he was thinking of the last Star Wars film we watched and how awful it was.
For someone who enjoys such populist culture, you have such a interesting view on it. I guess one feeds the other, right? You always be talking about the dark
No,
stuff.
of course not. I love Star Wars. As I get older, I do question a few things, like in Return of the Jedi. How the hell did Ewoks with sticks and bows and arrows defeat the Empire with that armor's terrible. It does nothing.
That's the argument it's always, oh, it's a kid's movie.
Yeah.
Right,
I mean,
well,
that's what I come back to. It was like done in the 80s. It was a kids movie. It was like, you're reading too much into this? But I'm like, that armor. Yeah, I'd go back to HR and complain.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, it's tough. A lot of stuff doesn't always stand the test of time. But
But I loved I
Yeah.
love Andor. I thought that was great, and like Rogue One, that's probably my favorite in the
yeah,
Disney.
I have a problem with
Oh, yeah?
Andor.
Oh,
let's hear it.
Yeah, the
just mute
The
him. Mute.
prison.
Where's the mute button?
the prison was the prison. The whole team of the prison was that's far
Yeah.
away in the middle of the ocean.
Yep.
And they get away, go into the water, and the next chapter they are on
Oh
another coast. They
They
swim
swam all the
the
way. Did you
ocean.
see that in post credits?
Yeah, that's my only the thing that gets me out of. I can suspend.
Well, they can't show them swimming to the shore, stealing an aircraft and getting
But
back to the
yeah,
planet. The series would be like 2 years long.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. They grab some squid alien or something that
Yeah, they used
I-
the space whales and got there.
yeah, something. Then I don't know, because if they fit the purpose of having a prison in the middle of the ocean if you can escape swimming.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It makes sense. But I think it's a good place to have a prison in the middle of the ocean, because not many people can swim.
Yes,
At least not that far. I
Yep.
could swim a little bit, but I'd struggle with anything larger than a swimming pool. Thanks.
Oh man.
But I did like how they linked the prison, what they were making, to the Death Star.
yes,
Those components. I thought that was pretty cool. Looking forward to season 2.
that would be a prequel when they train.
Yeah, they'll do some flashbacks of them swimming.
Yeah, I don't know. It's yeah. I appreciate how much they can build off of. It was originally just the 3 movies, and that's it. I know he had his like writings and stuff that apparently the prequels were based off
Yeah.
of. But aside from that, they're really able to expand this universe. I don't know if you're into the extended universe.
I did. I
haven't
read
been.
some of them. I didn't
Yeah.
deep dive into all of them, but I read some of the novels, and some of them are really good. When the Vong
Yeah.
come in from the other galaxy, and they're outside the Force, and the Jedi actually have an enemy that they crap themselves when they see them. It's great, and that's what kind of got me when Kathleen Kennedy first took over Lucasfilm, and they're going to make these films, and like the first thing she says, "There's no source material to take off." I'm like, yeah, there is. There is a ton of source material to come off, and yet, no, binned all that. They called it the extended universe and went their own route. That's why I was so gutted they just didn't recast the actors and not followed them specifically, but adapted some of the novels and then just continued the storyline. It would have been epic. The book, I can't remember what the book title was, but when Coruscant falls to the Vong and they smash the city planet and turn it into one of their host worlds, that would have been epic to see on like an IMAX or something.
Yeah, this is the same thing they do with the comics,
Yeah.
right? Like with all the comic properties, they have so much material they can source from, and they just choose to ignore it
Yeah.
because they don't think I don't know what the reasoning is. I feel like they don't feel like it's to their level or something, but maybe it's not that. Maybe they just can't wrap their heads around it. They're like, no, this doesn't adapt well.
Mm.
Or who knows, right? Or they want to tell their own story now that they're in charge. I don't know. But yeah, there's so much to pull from if they just cared to look,
Oh,
right?
for sure. There's
Just
more than enough source material to pull ideas from. Even if you're not going to do like a direct adaptation of a book, there's elements that you could take and use. I know they brought Thrawn back with Ahsoka. I mean, even that series was like a bit wishy-washy in places. Why does everyone have to be a Jedi? I don't remember. I don't remember Ren being force sensitive in Rebels. Maybe I'm forgetting an episode or two.
yeah, I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know.
and then maybe write in the comments.
Yeah, someone correct
Yeah,
us.
I just don't.
There will be
I just honestly don't remember her being force sensitive. And then like in the sequel trilogy, they couldn't determine if Finn was force sensitive or not. Just choose one and stick with it.
yeah, like it's yeah, and it's almost like the main through line there. Like they're just so hung up on just trying to almost replicate everything.
Yeah,
Like there's the core trilogy, and they just want to have a new version of that. Like they don't want to depart from it again, aside from the 8th one where they want to throw everything
yeah,
out.
pretty much.
But it's like even then the response was like, no, we're very much just a sequel. And it's almost stuck on the rails the whole way, which kind of loses all the depth of everything. Right?
Yeah, the first sequel film was A New Hope, just rehashed in a bigger Death Star.
Yeah, exactly, right? So it's just, yeah, give yourself some opportunity to move on.
Yeah, and they put the vent in the same place, and they still blow it up. At that
Being
point, I
able
just have
to-
no sympathy for the Empire at all.
it's on
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
They only had one set of schematics, so they just
yeah.
expanded.
Go big or go home. Go home.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe if we make it bigger.
Yeah. What's bigger than a Death Star? Planet. I like your thinking. You're being promoted.
How are we gonna make it? Just make it bigger. Exact same but bigger. Yeah, it's silly.
Yeah.
It's all silly.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Man, he's
Oh my
killing
goodness.
these panels.
Yeah, it's going really well.